Um, Hi, I'm Andy McKinnon of Used Film, and a producer and co-director of Duchess, Home, and Gloria.
I came all those years ago as a district nurse. It is now my home. I was given the most wonderful package quite a few years ago now from family members who felt that these very early films would be helpful on the island. It took a decade or more before I was able to give them to Andy in Tykersover here, and he saw the merit of what was there and set it up, and we now have this lovely film.
I mean, I think. Sorry, go on.
Gloria came to us with this box of Super 8 or 8mm film reels, and asked if we could do something with them. And we one of the reels had Gloria and Splash's wedding written on the spine of the reel box, and Gloria had never seen her wedding footage from 1968. So we got a crowdfunder together and very quickly raised the money to digitize the footage to kind of 4K quality, and we were just blown away when we actually saw the footage.
The footage is amazing. I mean, that the archive and the way you use the archive in the film is just incredible. I find it incredibly evocative. Like, you really get a sense of the community. You really get a sense of the time. You really get the sense of the remoteness. You really, I mean, and I just, the way you've used this archive, the importance of the archive is the first thing, but also the way you've used the archive to craft this story of the community there. It seems like an immense undertaking.
It actually came together in quite an organic way. We started once we got the footage digitized. There's over 5 hours in the whole collection, and we showed Gloria her wedding footage for the first time. I tell you, that was a special moment for me, I'm sure, as well as Gloria. But we then started showing the rest of the Bernery community the footage, and the feedback that we got and the stories that came out of those screenings made me realise that we had to make a film using the archive. There's a scene in the archive footage that is repeated again and again every time Bill and Ann Scott came to Bernery, or every time they left Bernery. They filmed the same scene, people standing on the pier waving to them as they left in the boat. And it really struck me as a very powerful metaphor for the leaving and a kind of wider sense of leaving and loss that is a part of Bernery history. People would say to us when we started showing the film that yes, people had to leave the islands to, they had to leave at a very early age to go to kind of for secondary school. They had to leave, and board on a neighbouring island of Harris for months on end, and then many of them never really fully returned to family life. They went on to further education or left. Especially women, if they didn't want to marry a crofter or a fisherman, there was nothing for them on Bernery, so they had to leave, and they all, a lot of them left for good, and the resultant, often they would marry on the mainland to non-Gaelic speakers, and therefore the next generation weren't brought up with Gaelic. So really, it's quite there's a lot of stories and a real depth to the whole collection, it brings up a lot of stuff.
I know it really does. I mean, did you have a sense of responsibility when you were putting it together to the community and to history?
Very much. My co-director and I, Kirsty McDonald's, we realised the importance of the stories that we were trying to tell, and that, you know, it gave us an added impetus that, you know, we really had to do something with this, and then get it out there, and being able to have our world premiere at in Bernary, a packed Bernary Community Hall, with most of the contributors to the film in there, and then the next day at Edinburgh International Film Festival, to a full house again. Really very special, and since then we've been screening it all over Scotland in small cinemas and community cinemas, community halls, on a mobile cinema screen machine, and broadcast on the Scottish Gaelic channel, BBC Alba.
Great. I mean, to me, obviously it's a really important film to Scotland, but also just I feel for anyone, it's the footage that you've caught and the sense of community and what it means to be in a community that's changing so drastically. It strikes me it's got a poignance that I mean, I felt able to plug into it. You know, immediately I was able to understand what was happening. And I think that there's a very human kind of aspect to this.
So. I think there's very universal themes in the film, especially for island communities and minority cultures. You know, there's a lot of the themes in the film are universal across the world. What's your experience of change in the community of Bernary?
It's obvious now there are more people coming in. There's a problem finding homes for them. But over the years, there has been a possibility of employment being possible from Bernary with the Wi-Fi connection. Whatever one might have been doing on the mainland can still be continued with a home in Bernary, for instance. But there is change around, but from the very beginning, it has been a welcoming community. And yes, I think when I came here all those 50 odd years ago, it was 130 odd people. It rose slightly at one stage, then dropped back. But when you look at birth to 5 years, which is central to maintaining a population anyway, that's been fragile, but there are just a very few small ones there now. But for instance, children, the school on the island closed, but buses now link and pick children up to take them into a modern new build school in North US. In the past, it was a little boat, as Andy made mention of just a short while ago. A small boat would pick them up, take them across to Leverborough. At one stage early in the year that I came round down onto the slipway and found this scene: women, children, 2 men in a boat. An air of pathos and sadness about it. And of course, it was the end of the summer holidays. Children were being put in a boat to be taken away across the water to Leverborough, a bus up to Tarbert, into a school term for a whole term, wouldn't have anything to do with home. And it was so similar to my own background. I was put in a little round motor in the middle of New South Wales and sent off down the railway track into the night to change in parks, get up over the Blue Mountains. And that was my being sent away to school. And it was so similar in that respect. But yes, there is change, but there is a management of it, but it's challenging. It is challenging. at the moment. But the communication and the connection makes it a lot more easy for this to happen, I think.
With the communication, it's obviously helped people return to the islands. It's helped people maintain contacts and education and so on. I know it's a romantic thing to say, but is there a sense that you've lost something with that communication, that the isolation bred a certain kind of lifestyle that's becoming more homogenized? Or is that just naive of me?
I think that's certainly true in terms of the Gaelic language. Gaelic being you know, much more a taught language now, it has been homogenized, and where previously every island would have a slightly different dialect, you know, that richness is being lost, and you know, that's explored in the film, but yeah, I mean, and that sense of islandness and of belonging, I don't think is diminished. That's still, you know, very, very strong.
It's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watching the film, I got that sense from the community of people, the younger people who were returning to the island, and there's that sense that it still has that hold on people. You know, there's that you can leave, but you can't leave kind of sense. Like it's within you in some way. You know.
Yeah.
And I find that very beautiful. One thing that I wanted to ask you, because obviously the film footage is amazing. This archive is just stunning. It puts you right there. But the other thing that I found really quite deeply affecting was the soundtrack and the songs in the soundtrack. Can you tell me how those came about?
Well, the very first song in the film, sung by Duncan McKinnon, he did this fantastic interview with us, you know, and loads of great stories. Only a fraction of which we could use in the film, but you know, he comes from this family of bards and singers, and he, at the end of this amazing interview, he just said, "Would you like a song?" And he just sang this song there and then, that totally encapsulated what the film was all about. And so we had no other choice but to use it quite boldly. I think it's quite a bold move to start filming that way. But you know, it really does set the scene for the rest of the film, the narrative within the song. And the other songs are all linked to Bernery, sung or written by people from Bernery, and just a fantastic. You know, there's such a richness there in the song tradition and the bardic tradition in Bernery. It really is. It's quite amazing, and we had some fantastic singers, Linda MacLeod, and Katrina Watts, and no, but we just have some absolutely fantastic singers and songs. And
can I just make this point?
Yeah.
Again, very beginning. On the 13th of May, 67, I arrived there. And the following day was Sunday, and I was in church. I had not heard a sound like it. It was foreign, but it was a church. The church was packed. It was full of tenor voices. It was absolutely wonderful. No music. There was a presenter. The process was the presenter would present the first line of the psalm, the congregation would sing. The second line came, the congregation would sing. I will remember the sound forever. It was not understanding a word of the sermon or anything else. It was all a foreign language, Gaelic. And as I sat in the back of that little church, I thought, oh, right. But 4 months, I could cope with this. Sunday after Sunday, I went back to hear that singing. And I still love it. It's just the most wonderful, rich sound. That was psalm singing.
Yeah, we featured an original recording from Bernary Church in the film.
That's right. That sound was there.
No, I mean, I think sound is such an important part of the film, not just the songs, but also hearing people speaking in Gaelic. How was that? I mean, do you speak Gaelic? Is that, or did you have some people on the crew who spoke Gaelic? How did that work?
I'm not a Gaelic speaker. I've been trying to learn for 20 odd years. But Kirsty MacDonald, co-director, is a native Gaelic speaker, and was vital to the whole film. Well, many of the contributors, Gaelic speakers, but not all, and that was part of the story as well. That the generations who'd been brought up away from Bernary, had lost the lost the gap.
But there's a very moving sequence where someone's talking about relearning it, isn't there? Towards the end of the film, and returning, and that sense of the language being so much part of the geography and the community and all those things. It's. I mean, it made me read. It's one of those films where you're watching it and you start thinking about, as I said, I'm British and I grew up without even consciously really. I mean, I knew people spoke Gaelic, but you sort of don't know that, and you're aware of these communities who speak this language. I thought that was really, really fascinating, and you caught that so well, and the films caught that so well, and the songs caught that this community. And I guess, I mean, one of the things I want to know is, especially when Gloria, when you had the films all digitized and you were watching them, what was your response to that? Did you feel how did it make you think about your relationship to that community? And
it was tears of joy to my because I had the sense of the as I became to do district nursing relief, heading back to Australia to get into that blind doctor service. Now, as I walked the roads and there was a sense of people reaching out, and you weren't ever left feeling alone, whatever else. There I was with not a word of their language, the nurse who'd come to look after them. So I quickly had to become familiar with phrases that would help and have a communication with them. And they all helped in that as well. What did I think? Well, it just was wonderful the way it was portrayed.
And you have to learn phrases like "take down your trousers."
I thought it would be reassuring if I had to give an injection. It wasn't be in the arm, but the buttocks. Nothing to be Brown. It happened, but then of course that no longer became necessary. But settling the elderly down at night and reassuring them, I had to get the phrases that would comfort them and have them know that I would be there if they needed me. And it was a process. To my shame and disgrace, I'm not fluent, but I am in a Gaelic choir and I love it. And that does help. But I had a lovely husband who was fluent in Gaelic. I was able, well, not in nursing situations, but he was able to get me through a lot of situations as time went by. He died 12 years ago. But this is home. This is home. So when I saw that film unfolding, all those people that were there in that film, I worked with knew a nurse, the older ones, they're there no longer. And it was such a feeling of relief when the film was put together, revealed to everyone, that they were delighted with it, reassured by it, and now have it as something that's they can enter into. It's safe, it's secure. It was such a wonderful feeling.
Actually, it really brings the past to life.
That's it.
Not just the Bernary archive, but I mean, I love working with archive film in general, and it's like a time machine. Really, it brings the past to life.
It's beautiful.
In terms of there being 5 hours of footage, and in terms of the importance of this footage and the cultural importance of it, is there something happening with the footage? Is it going to a museum, or what's happening there?
Yes, the Bernary Historical Society, we're just about to launch the kind of collection there, along with extended interviews that were from the film. And at some stage, I'm hopeful that the entire archive collection ends up in the National Library of Scotland Moving Image Archive. We've uncovered quite a few archive collections over the years, and crowdfunded to get them digitized, kind of safeguarding them, but I ideally want to make them all more publicly available, in a contextualized, meaningful way, and that requires some further funding to do that.
Ní hánig mar sin gníiste bheith mar bullach tá rilichen an na boxe agus har istí bhaunach an úrute bheith scíftear Bernary.
We'd be talking about Slunnig and who are you and, where are you from? Coasahau, who are you from? Really, we're asking who are you from?
It's amazing in some ways how little has changed, but also how much has changed. It's a small island, but it felt a lot bigger then.
Ha immer grote riestech an de dúchas. Ha na dúine ga bonju an, ha echtri na dúine sin, ha dat as de hokal.
There is no word in English for duchas. So it's culture, so it's everything that's around you, but it's also everything that's in you.
The
men were expected to stay and carry on the croft, carry on the fishing, while with women it was the opposite. It was like, you're leaving.
Well, galam shakhamich kirtiag. Sad well tegor again to him nabitushon kaligian of game to falla.
If anyone had told me that first Sunday in church that one of those men doing the presenting would be my father-in-law in a year's time, what would you have done? I'd have dived off the pier and started swimming.
She Gloria ha shishi hier den ik goede geveandre ek nog gaalik.
Ha berstes as gaalik. So ringut ha fiet fachklan or sonne doi, is it mar hai duske.
We need to look at the richness of what we have. So going back to duchas, what we've inherited. And we have to, I suppose, see what it is about our own culture that we value and what are we sad about losing, what are we grieving for?
Han markabit grawan fuse med rukuru.